Hey there gang, my name is Sam Basher and welcome to New Rockstars. Warner Brothers and DC released the first teaser trailer for their first not-in-continuity DC story following the origin of the Joker, starring Joaquin Phoenix. Director Todd Philip is bringing this film to the big screen later this year, specifically October 4th. And so far we've got some interesting teasers, including photos and some insane casting news, but now let's dive into the seedy underbelly of Gotham City once more. How many times does Batman appear in this trailer? More times than I thought, I'll tell you that much. Oh, spoiler warning, of course, for DC Comics, movies, TV shows, etc. Let's get going. Right off the bat, I gotta give credit to the cast, crew, and the trailer house for the imagery and song choice throughout this teaser. You are immediately sucked into this world and the way our main character, Arthur Fleck, views it. Kicking off this trailer, we see a slow zoom in on what looks to be Gotham Central Hospital, where Arthur is sitting with a social worker, but already we've got some nods to the Bat family. Literally, if you zoom in on her name tag, you'll notice her name looks to be Deborah Kane. Now, for those of you who aren't keeping up with the 17 different flavors of Bat Vigilante, Kane is the last name of Batwoman, Kate Kane. We also know that Kate is Bruce's cousin, and the Kanes are a wealthy family in Gotham, even in this world. If we take a look at that leaked Gotham subway map from a few months back, we can see an entire county dedicated to the Kane family. This could be a different Kane, of course, but I don't think it's a coincidence. We also know that this movie is meant to be a cautionary tale for what society can turn a man into under the worst of the worst circumstances. So kicking off this trailer with the line, "Does it help having someone to talk to?" is setting the tone of how Arthur's story will unfold. I'm guessing he should go to a therapist more often? He's not looked too good. We then see Arthur moving throughout his corner of Gotham, which could possibly be Burnside or the Bowery, both not so pleasant districts in the comics. If you pay attention to how each of these shots are set up, where Arthur is walking past a pile of garbage and up a lonely staircase, we really get a sense of how lonely Arthur feels in this city and in his own skin. We also get our first glance at Frances Conroy as Penny Fleck, Arthur's mother. We can gather from this scene that with her advanced age, she could need Arthur's constant care, but we do see Arthur smile around his mother, so possibly this isn't a negative in his life. Or this could possibly be a creepy term where he's a little bit too possessive of his mama. I might be jumping to conclusions here, but hey, it could happen. This is supposed to be a creepy movie after all. We are then shown Arthur having a bit of a breakdown in his living room and working on his stand-up material. In this world, Joker begins as a failing comedian, much like the Killing Joke comic, but he is mentally ill, and that is made crystal clear with this shot of his jokes that he's working on. We see a few standard, not so funny jokes, but the final line reads, "The worst part of having a mental illness is people expect you to act like you don't." Arthur's world is coming into focus more and more. He's a troubled individual who is in need of help. Possibly that's why we're seeing Deborah Kane at Gotham Central. He feels isolated due to his current mental state and possibly his living arrangement. You'll notice as well during this scene a bottle of pills on the table, as well as what looks to be bills that are piling up. With his mother's health in limbo, Arthur might need help more than ever. We then see Arthur sign spinning for a closeout sale at a music store in his clown makeup. It's pretty obvious in this instance that stand-up comedy isn't probably working out so great for Arthur, and he's in need of some other work. Also, you could look at this closure of a music store of another instance of joy being drained out of a poorer part of Gotham. Music is an important escape for most people, and with it being taken away from these people, they could become even more isolated. Also, you notice in this shot we get more of a sense of the 80s aesthetic of this film with the storefronts and the ever-tasteful adult theater in the background. Zooming in on Arthur's costume here, and when he is mugged in the alleyway, we start getting a glimpse or two of his classic Joker outfit with his green hair, flower on his lapel, and the iconic face makeup. The next shot we see is Arthur looking like he's either trying to rip something apart or force something back together after it's been broken from the mugging that we just saw. But during this scene, most importantly, we hear Arthur's narration explaining that even though he feels like he's trying so hard to make the world a better place, or at least give it some happiness, the world keeps pushing back harder and harder, and possibly he might not be able to keep up. The next shot is one of the few shots where we see Arthur happy dancing with his mother, but notice the pillow on the couch. It looks like Arthur's living situation isn't, looking too good, with him possibly sleeping on his mother's couch. Now, nothing wrong with living at home and helping out your parents, but for his mental state, this might not be the best thing. But also in this scene, did you notice the fun Easter egg on the TV screen? If you zoom in and enhance just a little bit, nod to Eric Voss, shout out. You'll notice a few nods here to the crew members from the Joker. No, this is not of a real movie. Actually, Ben Gallatori, the first writer that you see, is the travel coordinator for this film, and Will Limpert is one of the production secretaries. Pretty fun. Little shout out in the Joker. Moving on, we see Zazie Beetz' characters Sophie Duman and Arthur Fleck eating at a local donut shop. Two things worth mentioning here. One, is there a sanitation strike, or am I not familiar with trash pileups in major cities? Because wow, Gotham is not looking too good with that enormous garbage heap. Also, second, blink and you'll miss it, it looks like there could be a fun nod to a certain Gotham TV show on Fox, or at least one of its characters. Notice the street sign in the corner of the screen. Jerome is not only a street in the Bronx, no, but also the name of the proto-Joker in Gotham, Jerome Velasca to be exact. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Gotham, but if this film has nods to all of the Jokers who came before, that's all right in my book. As for who Sophie is, she is a new character from what I can tell. Not in the comics, but her description describes her character as someone who's just had enough. Life has dealt her a few bad hands, and she's a single mother just trying to raise her kid, and falls for a man who will one day become the Joker. Another bad deal, I'll be honest. We then see our first shot of this world's Arkham Asylum, or excuse me, State Hospital, and boy howdy does it not look like a healthy place for patients. The most powerful shot in this trailer being that elevator ride where you see the patient thrashing about. We then get our first shot of Brian Tyree Henry, who I did not know was going to be in this movie, because that dude's just in everything right now, isn't he? Now, while we don't know who he will be playing in this movie as of yet, but based on the scene with him and Arthur behind that metal divider, my guess is that he is an employee at Arkham, and he does not trust Arthur. We then see Pogo's Comedy Club, where Arthur is watching a set by himself, and we get that amazing sample of the Joker laugh. Hot dog, that's perfect and eerie. Also worth mentioning, it would have been amazing if they had shot this scene at the Gotham Comedy Club in New York. I know that they shot most of this movie in New Jersey and New York, but possibly they swapped out the sign that reads Pogo's instead, and it could have been, I don't know, like a fun in-world connection. That's just what I want. Also worth mentioning, Pogo could be a fun nod to a long-running comic series of the same name. It's not a DC comic, but it was rather popular back in the 70s. Next, we see Arthur at what looks to be a clown school with his back to us as he's putting on his makeup. This looks to be the location of the previous shot where Arthur is shaking with his shirt off. And once again, we are shown that Arthur is very alone. He is not interacting with anyone in the scene. He's not even sitting close to another person. Also, the image of Arthur pulling his lips up to force a smile while shedding a tear is the perfect example of what's going on inside this poor man. He just needs help. Possibly this could be a signal that Arthur is starting to find the comedy and how the world is treating him, and he just can't take it anymore. We then see Arthur riding in the subway in what appears to be the clown outfit that we saw earlier when he was mugged, but now he's going to be assaulted by a totally different group of douches. And maybe this is the straw that breaks the camel's back and forces Arthur to stand up against the upper class that is ruining their lives as he sees it, and the rest of the lives of the lower class in Gotham. I'm also guessing during this scene, Arthur finally stands up for himself, snaps possibly, and attacks these boys, possibly killing them. My only reason for thinking this is that the next shot is of him running under a bridge with his nose covered in the same blood that we saw on the subway during that fight, and he looks to be running from what I can assume to be the police. We then see him in what looks to be his true Joker form, true for the movie anyway. The narration we hear states that Gotham has lost its way, signaling to us, the viewer, that Arthur has now become a symbol for the disenfranchised in a way. We even see people borrowing his look and protesting out of an ornate building in downtown Gotham. Wait a second, what does it say up top over there? Wayne Hall, our first and certainly not last nod to the Wayne family. Why is Arthur getting kicked out of that Charlie Chaplin exhibit? Well, this could be a nod to Arthur's love of classic comedy, i.e. his love of clowns and being a clown in possibly silent films. Who knows? Also worth pointing out that my theory of Arthur killing those boys seems confirmed by the narration by none other than Thomas Wayne, played by Brett Cullen. Also, if you notice closely, he's dancing with a revolver right now. He's now doing so hot, our friend Arthur. By the way, very interesting to dig at a man for wearing a mask and doling out justice, Mr. Wayne, Batman's dad. We then see what looks like the previously released footage of the Joker exiting a subway car while his followers attack someone in a suit. While we now can confirm that who they are attacking are cops. If you notice right here, one of these men chasing Arthur is wearing a badge. Following this, we see Arthur stalking the perimeter of an estate and forcing a young boy to smile. That isn't just any boy, my dudes. That boy is none other than Bruce Wayne, confirmed by IMDb. Wowie zowie, the Joker is way older than Batman in this world. Please don't put your dirty adult hands in that boy's mouth. We then see Arthur flashing between multiple emotional states, happily dancing in his underwear to him smashing his head into a mirror, showing that he is going to now fully embrace the madness around him. This leads us to see him in his full Joker suit and makeup going onto Murray Franklin's talk show, that character played by Robert De Niro. And it's worth mentioning that De Niro's character in this movie is a slight nod to his character Rupert in Martin Scorsese's King of Comedy, where he also played a talk show host. Also, a little criticism to Murray, because this might not be the best person to bring onto your show. Probably shouldn't give him a platform, because especially he's inspiring people to, incite violence and attack cops. We then see Arthur running to escape what looks to be, my guess, Arkham Asylum, possibly following his violent actions earlier. But this scene leads us to Joker being struck by a car. But finally, during these last few shots of this trailer, we're able to see the full metamorphosis from Arthur to Joker, with him dyeing his hair the classic Joker green and revisiting the staircase and hallway that we saw earlier in the movie where he was portrayed as a loner. But now we see the sun shining and he's finally looking empowered, a little bit more sure of himself. Good for him, unless, he's killing people. We're left with one final shot of him smiling as the elevator door is closing, and I am interested. But what did you guys think overall of this trailer? Could the death of his mother and the violent assaults from total strangers be the reason he becomes the voice of the downtrodden in Gotham? Will we see more DC nods throughout the movie? Other Batman villains, possibly? Why do you think they named the Joker A.Fleck? Arthur Fleck. You guys caught that before I did, but so kudos to you. Let me know down below, but also don't forget to subscribe and share this video, and then you can follow me on Twitter if you want to, @SamBasher, and make sure you check out our podcast, New Rockstars Debrief, anywhere you get your podcasts. That'll keep you busy for a little bit until our next breakdown. We'll see you then. Bye.